Who are you?
Whoever you want me to be.
Don't say I never gave you anything.
It's feeling epic.
3 words. 8 letters.
I remember everything.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Previously on Teen TV. I'm Jillian Benani, and I am flying solo today. Claire is still gallivanting across Europe, and producer Jesse is in Fiji. Everyone is just off eating, praying, and loving. So today you are getting a one-woman show. What a treat. What a very special episode. Just me. And producer Tyler is here, which is fun.
You're doing great.
She's carrying it all, everyone. We have another very special episode for you today. Since it is a one-woman show, I thought that this would be a good opportunity for me to share my experience as a One Tree Hill extra, which is still one of the most defining moments in my life, I would say. I've shared how much I have loved One Tree Hill before on this podcast. I mean, obsessed is an understatement. I was in the forums. I mean, I was playing episodes in my head while I was sitting in class in school. I was obsessed with this, especially at like 14, 15, a good age to be obsessed with a teen TV show. And some might say even 33 is a good age to be obsessed with a teen TV show. But I was so obsessed with this show, and I found out that they filmed it in Wilmington, North Carolina, which I found this out on the DVD extra. So I got season 1 on DVD when that came out. This is when season 2 was already airing on TV, and I hadn't seen every episode of season 1 yet. So my mom surprised me with the DVD box set, which is just such a treat. I miss these box sets. We need to bring these back because not only did they have every episode, they also have commentary on episodes. So look, it's right here. This season 1 DVD box set has commentary from the cast on the finale episode, which everyone should revisit this because it is like the only time all 5 of our actors are like together. I mean, they were together on TRL and all that stuff during the time, but like there's not many instances where we're seeing them all together. So it's so fun to see them do their commentary on the finale episode. And that is where I discovered they filmed the show in Wilmington, NC, which is actually nearby where my family vacationed every year. So I remember asking my mom, like, isn't Wilmington by where we go to the beach? And she said yes. So naturally, you know, the internet was like kind of new at the time. I mean, not new, but like it wasn't like how it is now. So I Googled it. I figured out how to be an extra. And then me and my best friend, we called the casting office and was like, okay, what do we got to do? I remembered like we were both on separate landline phones so we could like hear the conversation. We take a bunch of notes and we had to like fill out a resume for it. And then we had to take photos. And this all came like rushing back to me, this photo shoot that we did. I'm a little embarrassed about it. I'm not going to lie. We made t-shirts that said baller on it that like, you know, stick on t-shirt letters. We wrote baller on it because Nathan wears a sweatshirt in one episode that says baller in season 1. And we thought it was so funny. We thought this was like the funniest thing ever. So we made these shirts, we took photos in them, and we're like holding basketballs. I mean, I need to find where these photos exist because it was really something. Like, I think we went a little above and beyond. I think we could have just sent a photo of us, and we did full-on photo shoot, making t-shirts, props were involved. It was a lot. So this was a whole thing. We, you know, and then mailed in these like resume and photos. And then you had to call like a week before you wanted to be an extra. So we went down to the beach every year in October, which is actually perfect because they're filming at that time. So we called before we were headed on the vacation, and sure enough, they had spots available. I mean, I was like jumping for joy. There was like a break in between when we found out how to be an extra and when we were actually like going down to North Carolina to be able to do it. And I was counting down the days. It was all I thought about. It was all I could focus on. I could not wait. So, I mean, anyone who knew me at that time, I was counting down the days until we got to be an extra. It was a lot. Like, thank you for being my friend at that time if you were, because I was a lot. It was really something.
So how did you find out the casting office? So they said on the DVD that they did shot in Wilmington.
Yeah.
And then how did you do the research to figure that out?
The power of the internet.
Okay.
Was Google even around back then? Like, I don't know. But I feel like I want to say it was more on the forums. Like the forums helped me figure this out. Something like that. Like it was like through the internet, I figured it out. And then it's like, oh, is this for real? Is this like a real thing? Is this fake? Like my parents definitely thought it was like a scam I was getting involved in. And then they more started to believe it. So that was good because I needed them to drive me. I could not drive. I was literally like 14 at this time. A little baby taking my photos with a basketball to look cool. So I was in 3 episodes total, which isn't a ton, but I still put this as a job on my Facebook profile, which also really did help me make friends later on. Like I forgot I did that. And in college, a like potential roommate sent it to me and was like, you were an extra on One Tree Hill. And I was like, how'd you know? And she was like, it's on your job. So that's fun. But yeah, so literally listed it as a job. I also had my voicemail at the time. I said, sorry, can't come to the phone right now. I'm watching myself on One Tree Hill. Like a lot. It was a lot. Would you have dated me back then, Tyler?
Mike's not working.
So rude. So rude. Well, not much has really changed.
You didn't put that on an actual resume, did you?
I think I did, actually. Like when I was applying to be a lifeguard, I was like, I don't have any other jobs. Like I got paid for this. I got to put this on there. And I do want to say, now that you asked that, I think when I was applying to be an intern at the Rachel Ray show, I think I actually put that on my resume because I was like, this is TV experience. Okay, this is legit. So luckily it's come off my resume, but I'm going to pull it out when I need it. Okay. So one of the biggest questions that I get, and everyone was asking me this at school after we were extras, was like, did you interact with the cast? Like, did you talk to them? What was that like? And I will say, like, as an extra, you're not supposed to speak to the cast. That is like highly frowned upon. But I think it was just so fun to see all of them interact together. I mean, I'll tell you more about the scenes later, but I was in a basketball game scene. So they're all just stuck in this gym all day long, and you are stuck with them. And this was my favorite show at the time. So like the excitement level is up here that I just get to like stare at them all day and like observe. And I will say I was in one episode in season 3 shortly after the Chad and Sophia divorce breakup, which was huge news. And I was just staring the whole time to see if they interacted at all. And I'll tell you, they did not. And then it was just so fun to see like James and Joy like interact. Like as a Naylee fan, it was just like, oh my God, they talk in real life. Like I'm so happy. It's just like those little things like that were so fun to see. You could just tell like people were having fun together. And it was just fun to be able to like be in a room with them for so long and see them all kind of like hanging out and laughing together. I will say you also were not supposed to take photos, and we were little daredevils. We did take some sneaky pics. We got one photo of James Lafferty that I have framed on my desk at home. All right, don't tell anybody this. I don't want to get fired after I have this on my resume for so many years. So yeah, just being able to see them in a room for the first time, I think was very cool. I will say Paul Johansson was somebody who interacted with extras a lot. He had a lot of like fun with them and was messing around. But like the cast has a job to do. So there's not a lot of like interacting with like other people in the room. And there's a lot of extras that are there and around. So they're just thinking about the scene they have to do for the most part. I will say what was most surprising was how much time and effort goes into the smallest scenes. So I was there when they were recording a cheerleading dance at one point. This is in, I want to say 15 seconds of the show. They did that dance about 20 times. Like this was the entire morning. This took hours to film. And then when I saw the episode, I was actually shocked at how little it was in the show. We heard that song over and over again. I was just shocked at how long that it took to film that. It was crazy to me. And just every scene I was in, you were there for so long filming the smallest scene. It was crazy to me. And honestly, after that, I was like, I don't want to be a film major. I don't have the patience for this. It was too much. I literally was like, this is a lot for the littlest thing. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to watch all of the scenes that I was an extra in and give a little commentary for each scene. So let's start with season 3. All right, so now here we are. I got my laptop pulled up and I'm going to give you guys my DVD commentary on the scenes I was an extra in. Producer Tyler is with me if he has any questions, which I'm sure he will. But I'm excited to give you guys my behind the scenes take. So let's get into it. We're starting with season 3, episode 8. So if you don't remember, this is the first basketball game of the season. This is after the fantasy boy draft and Brooke slept with Chris Keller. So lots of drama is happening. So we are going to start at the 29-minute mark. So this is when the basketball game is first starting. Here we go. I'm hitting play. All right, so we start off with this cheerleader dance, which was exciting. We actually saw Haley was a cheerleader for the first time. So this was like spoilers that we hadn't seen before because early season 3 was just airing in real time. We watched this dance for about 3 hours or so, maybe more. I mean, we heard the same song over and over again, and it's actually a different song than what is playing in the episode. They really went with a slow down version, which I thought was funny. But yeah, this was like the entire morning just doing this dance. And it's like, in about 15 seconds. The call time was like 8 a.m. It was early. These gym days are long.
Do you remember what day of the week this was?
It was on a Saturday. All right, so we're getting now into the game. This was very fun that they did this full like lineup thing. So we really saw everybody, like we got to cheer for everybody running down. You can see me there. I am behind the flag. I'm giving my best cheer with my pom-pom. We loved having a prop, I will say. We just love seeing them all run through this thing. This was so exciting. I mean, when I first saw Chad Michael Murray and James Lafferty, I was like, oh my God, this is real life. I mean, I am screaming for Nathan Scott right here. I am giving it my all. And now we get the national anthem from Chris Keller, which was another surprise. We were so excited to see Tyler Hilton was there. I mean, it was like everyone was really here this day, which was fun. And we heard him say, this goes out to all your girlfriends. We had no idea about the Brooke Davis thing that happened. So we just heard him say that and we were like, ooh, drama. This is when I made my friend switch with me because I thought I would be seen better. So that's a good friend. And that was it. That was the scene. How did I do, Tyler? How was my acting?
It was great. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited were you to be there?
I mean, 20. Like 100. I was so excited. And everyone was there.
Had you ever seen any of the cast in person before?
No, this was the first time. I mean, it was a whole thing. My parents had to drop us off. And then like my parents ended up like walking around and like taking photos of like Chad Michael Murray's trailer for us. Like it was a family affair.
Were there other fangirls who were extras?
There were some fangirls that were there, and then there were people there that were just like trying to make some money. You could tell. I feel like we were ones who really like knew the show because we kept talking a lot about like, oh my God, I can't believe Chris Keller is here. Like he's in season 3. Like we didn't know that much yet. And like finding out Haley was a cheerleader, like it was exciting to see these like spoilers and to get like a tease for more of what was going to come this season. And season 3 is a great season, so it was very exciting.
Do you know how much you were paid?
I want to say it was like, I think it was minimum wage, like maybe like $6 an hour or something like, but I was just so excited to be there. Like I didn't care about the paycheck, but I think in the end I got around like $100 for a full day of work, but we just had to sit there, which was kind of nice.
All right. You want to watch the next up?
Let's move on to the next one.
How much later was this in real time for you? Was this the next year?
Yeah. So this was like around...
You're moving to season 4 now.
Yeah. So we're moving to season 4, episode 3. So this was... I remember I went when we were on summer vacation in North Carolina. So
After you did it the first time, did you want to just keep doing it?
Yeah.
Were you pestering your mom to try to be in every episode?
Yeah. I was like, well, if we're going to North Carolina, I have to be an extra. And I actually didn't have a friend go with me this time. I did it by myself, which was still fun. You know, I was just so excited to be there. I didn't care. So this was a little less than a year later. All right, so we are moving on now to season 4, episode 3. This is when I'm in some scenes in the cafe, which was fun. It was like a new location and like more of a set than being in the gym. And it was just very cool to see the cafe. This is the episode where Peyton is meeting Derek for the first time and she brings Lucas with her as like a buffer to make sure he's not crazy. Spoiler alert. We should have known he was going to turn out to be Psycho Derek with this. So this is a scene that I was in the cafe when Peyton first meets Derek. And this was a very fun scene to be a part of because there were only a couple extras in the scene. And they had to have me like walk by them and go sit on the couch, which was like very fun. I kind of felt like the chosen one or something. But we are at the 2 minutes... 10-second mark. I'm about to hit play. Derek had just sat down and I was like, who is this guy? And there I am. I walked right by. You didn't see my face. My shirt was there though, that blue tank. And this whole time I was watching this, I was like, who is this guy? And then here I am. I'm on the couch. I am reading that magazine very thoroughly. I remember it was a car magazine, so something very random. But this was a fun scene where I was like very close to them and I could just kind of like listen to the scene a lot, which was fun. And I had to walk like in between Hillary Burton and Chad Michael Murray. So that was a big hit. I remember thinking like, how should I walk? And I did this kind of like turn towards Hillary, like turn towards the camera. And then when I had to go sit on the couch, I was very nervous it was going to make too loud of a sound. So I took I was really taking my time trying to be delicate there.
How nervous were you before this, knowing that who you were going to be in the scene with? I
was nervous because I was alone. Like I didn't have a buddy there and I wasn't like speaking to anybody. And it was very structured of like, you need to start walking at this point. Like he sits down and then you're going to go walk and you're going to go sit on the couch and start reading this magazine. And even at one point, the director had to like bring me back in to the scene because it was like, because I walked in between them, I had to be there for every take. So it just felt like I was kind of important, which was fun.
And this was real acting because you're not interested in those cars in that magazine.
I was not at all, not one bit. And I was sitting there reading. I was like, don't stare at them. Don't stare at Chad Michael Murray. Do your best. So the acting chops really came out in this one. We are now moving on. We're in the same episode, but we're moving to the 9-minute mark. It's another scene where I'm in the cafe. And if you don't remember, in this episode, we're dealing a lot with Peyton's brother. He has shown up. We don't know what to think. We haven't seen the brother yet. We see him in this episode. Later on, there's a big party after the basketball game. I wasn't in that. And this is kind of like the aftermath of, you know, the limo going off the bridge and everything. All right, I am clicking play. So this is a scene with Dan and Karen in the cafe. It's a little bit more of a comedic scene, which was fun. And there I am sitting at a table in a blue shirt. I am giving my best fake talking. You weren't able to actually talk. You just had to fake it. So it looks much bigger than really what it is in real life. I was really going for it. I will say Paul Johansson was very fun to film with. He was somebody who really was like interacting with all the extras and was just kind of like being funny. And as you can see, there's a lot of people in the cafe on this one. I feel like they just like threw all the extras in there for this, because the whole point is like the cafe is supposed to be really busy. So this was a fun scene to just like sit in the cafe and be a patron.
Do you remember what you were saying?
I have no idea. I think like me and that girl I was seated with were just like mouthing random words to each other. But I feel like I kept being like, oh my God, really? Like I was really trying to give like a gossip angle. Again, overacting maybe as an extra. Like my hand is up like this, like really leaning in to get the drama, which is, you know, very me.
Would you know it's going to be your episode when you were watching at home?
Yeah, they tell you like, oh, this is season 4, episode 3, which is nice. Yeah.
So you're gathered around the TV.
Oh, I'm telling everybody, families watching, friends are watching, watch parties are happening. It's a whole thing.
Whenever you're at the 2-minute mark, like what was your reaction whenever you see yourself 2 minutes into the episode?
I mean, it was so exciting. I was like, oh, I'm right up top here. And then all the friends and relatives could stop watching at that point.
You were all gathered around the TV? Like people were at your house?
I definitely had some friends over to watch it, of course. And then I had like relatives calling me on commercial breaks to be like, I saw you. Was that your blue shirt? It was that. So I really built it up, you know? I think people thought I would be speaking. And I was like, no, just that blue shirt walking by.
Just reading a car mag.
Yeah. Actor over here. So now we're moving on to season 4, episode 8. So I did this one a couple months later, and it was my final appearance in One Tree Hill, which is kind of sad because it went on for a lot more years, but I feel like I wasn't as interested in being an extra as I got into the later years. It just like didn't feel as fun. Like the high school stuff was fun because I was also in high school at the time. All right, now we are moving on to season 4, episode 8. This is the episode before the state championship game, so I missed out by like a week, which was very upsetting for me. But this was still a fun episode to be in, and we got to be in the school this time. So I got to hit up like different locations each time, which was fun. And in this scene coming up, we were actually in the studio, which was fun because they had all this like Dawson's Creek stuff out there as well. So we got to see all that and just like hang out in the studio, which was fun. All right, so we are at the 6-minute, 30-second mark. It's a scene where Rachel and Brooke are at the lockers talking, and I am hitting play. This was a fun scene because we could really like hear what they were saying, actually, because I was kind of standing close to where they were. And I was like, ooh, it seems like we got some drama going on. So that was very fun for me to hear. And then you'll see as they leave this area with the lockers, Brooke is shutting her locker now. They're walking away, and then we had to walk up. There we are, walking right up, and we had to stand exactly where they were. So I was like, oh my God, we're hanging out right where they were, right by their lockers. As you can see, I now have a ponytail in my hair because it got way too frizzy in the outside scene that we had to shoot earlier, which I'll talk about next. But yeah, we just had to chill out at their lockers. And that was about it. And then we had this quick Mouth and Gigi scene, which I wasn't able to hear anything. We just had to stay at those lockers.
Were the lockers real?
Yeah, they were. Like you could open them and close them. And then that's the end of the scene. And now we are moving on to my final scene. I retired after this one. I gave it my all. And I would say, 5-star acting. How would you rate my acting, Tyler?
You are a believable high schooler.
Yeah, I look really young in this. I was like what, 14, 15? And I'm like, wow, I look so young. It's crazy.
And the show moved on from high school after this season?
Yeah, the show then jumps ahead 5 years after this. So I was like, too young. It doesn't really make sense. Okay, so we are at the 14-minute, 15-second mark. Peyton's just left. It's a scene now with Lucas and Brooke. If you don't remember, Brooke is kind of maybe trying to rekindle things with Lucas, see if there's something else there, because she's very jealous of Peyton, I think, at this point. This is a scene outside the school. And I got to walk right by them, which was once again very fun. I think at one point I was like walking way too close to Chad Michael Murray. I was like, I'm like ruining this scene right now. I'm like standing next to him. So I was very nervous. I didn't want to keep doing that.
Did the director ever have to talk to you on any of these?
No. But I was like, I'm like walking in the dirt. Like, it's weird. And I'm very close to him. Like, there's no way this is good. I was worried I was going to get fired. And I am going to hit play. All right, so now they're walking, and as they start to walk, there I am crossing right behind them with my frizzy hair and JanSport backpack. I don't think there was anything in that backpack, and now I'm fake talking with this group of people. I was very worried about my hair being so frizzy. It was a big concern of mine. You know, I brought my own clothes, Hollister shirt, definitely. The JanSport backpack I brought was mine. So it was like, you know, very authentic, if you will. I was in high school at the time. But this was an exciting scene to see, too, because, you know, we got Chad and Sophia in a scene. And I was like, are they talking? Like, is this awkward? So I just kind of kept looking over at that. So maybe it wasn't the best of my acting that I've ever done.
Did you ever worry about spoilers doing these extra scenes?
No, I wanted to know the spoilers. It was also, though, sometimes it's hard to hear the dialogue. So it's like confusing. So it's like you're picking up some things, but you're not seeing the whole context of what's going on.
So would you work yourself up into a false narrative about what was going on in the season based on what you saw? Yeah,
I was like very confused about the Derek thing because I don't think I ever heard the brother thing. And I was like, who is this guy? So that was very confusing for me. But thank you all for listening along to my commentary. Hopefully they put this on the Blu-ray re-release. Add this to the DVDs, people. This one woman show was great. If you have any questions about me being an extra in One Tree Hill, feel free to hit us up on social media at previously_on_teen TV. And be sure to follow us and rate us on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.